we have a very big issue of unemployment. What solution is being provided? Get out of the country and go find jobs elsewhere. Which is kind of like saying, I have surrendered. You know, like there is no solution here. Token, it's like a parent telling their 12-year-old children, I have surrendered. Go to the neighbors, go to the next village to look for food. I cannot provide food for you.
I see when people say Kenya is growing, and don't get me wrong, Kenya is growing, but like the more things change, the more they remain the same. I have that feeling when I got to Kenya, especially once you leave Nairobi. There are places I feel like nothing has changed here.
Okay.
You know, people are still looking for jobs. The mindset about, especially if you don't live in Nairobi, or even if you live in Nairobi, is if there's no money for higher education, which is unfortunate, but it does happen, but people don't have a way out, and so they kind of end up doing odd jobs because that's all they can do, that's what's available to them. And I keep wondering, does the government really have a plan to grow the economy that people on the ground can feel?
Now, here's a problem with the way the government operates and our broken political system. So when the government sees that there's a lot of development that's been done, they usually take small snippets. There's certain parts of the Kenyan economy that have grown that very few people are feeling. So they will amplify that. But they don't look at the, you know, you want to look, when you want to know a country is growing, you want to look at the bottom 10% and the middle 90%.
Okay.
Not the top 10%, because all this growth that you're being given is all top 10%.
Yes, unfortunately.
So when you start critically looking at the bottom, at the middle 90% and the bottom 10%, that's when you realize that we are actually regressing. You know, like people normally who would have grown up in, because you're saying like when you go to some of these villages, you find people who went to school.
Same old. I'm like, it doesn't change.
But now they're doing odd jobs. You educated these kids for a very long time, but now they're reduced to doing odd jobs. They want to tell graduates in university who've done some very sophisticated degrees like engineering, go be Uber drivers or go do TikTok. That's what they're telling people now. Go do TikTok to make money. But here I'm saying, you know, like we are talking about, they talk about we have a shortage of healthcare workers. We tend to graduate a lot of healthcare workers, but then there's still a lot of unemployment among these people who've been trained in healthcare.
And they're moving abroad en masse, by the way.
And by the way, no, let's not even go far. You're talking about healthcare. Don't we have a strike going on right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, even nurses are actually about to join. Healthcare providers, not providers, healthcare professionals, nurses, they're about to join. They're about to down their tools as we speak, if they haven't already. And the government itself is not doing anything. Okay, I try to understand the system of hiring, because I think once you graduate, then you have to do an internship, you know. But listening to the guy who is the head of health, I guess the top down, there was an agreement that was signed, an MOU with the previous government that is supposed to be implemented, but they don't want to implement it because, according to him, it was being forced down their throat. But your government, the Kenyan government, nothing is usually forced down your throat. How do you then sign something that you know? So now they're trying to renege and trying to find a way. This again, every year they are graduating nurses. Every year they are graduating doctors. These guys, how hard is it to find a system where nurses graduate, doctors graduate, they go for internship or whatever, wherever they're going? Because we've always had that. See, what was it? Frasha.
Yeah, Frasha.
Si alikuwa daktari, he was a doctor for a while, worked
Yeah.
for the government. Then after he malized his thing, he went his own way.
Yeah.
We know I'm sure, I don't know about you, but I know for some people who did that they worked with the government for a few years. Then, they went into private practice.
Yeah.
What make it make sense such that mwanamke anaenda Baringo Hospital, anazalia kwa floor.
The problem that we have in Kenya, first of all, it's in multiple dimensions. So we had a political problem, and we were able to solve it. Like we went through violence in 2007, and we were able to solve it with a new constitution in 2010. But now we have, like a bigger problem, which is an economic problem. So when Kibaki came into power, I think people went to bed and thought that this is how things are going to work forever. Because the very simple thing that Kibaki did is that he did not allow politicians to be the problem solvers. Because our problem is we are using politicians to solve problems. So
Yes.
Kibaki hired, like a very big team of technocrats.
Yeah,
Yes, of course.
I remember that.
Of course, there were the political people who were hired, but then there was a very big team of technocrats that was hired, like in very different areas. Like we have this problem here. Of course, Kibaki himself is a technocrat on matters the economy. So he had, like a first hand in there. But also the people who are under him were very well qualified people.
Very, yes.
So the problem is right now we have politicians who are trying to solve problems. There's nowhere in this world where politicians have solved, like economic, infrastructure, these critical type of problems, hunger. And that's what we need in Kenya. We have a very big issue of unemployment. What solution is being provided? Get out of the country and go find jobs elsewhere. Which is kind of like saying, I have surrendered. Like there is no solution here. Tokeni, it's like a parent telling their 12-year-old children, I have surrendered. Go to the neighbors, go to the next village to look for food. I cannot provide food for you. And that right there is very, very dangerous. Ruth.
No, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I think you're trying to answer what I said. It does feel that the government has given up to begin with, because I don't know how a country's president will leave a country and say, nimeenda kutafutia kazi mahali pengine. And actually that country has promised me that it can take this amount of Kenyans. What are you doing in the country?
Oof.
Right? Because you're draining the country of its talent, deliberately so. And then you made it palatable, or you made it that people do think that lazima tutoke hapa. So everybody's going to graduate wanting to leave because opportunities go there's nothing in this country. But guess what? We have a population that probably will never leave Kenya, and it needs those people.
Yes.
And here's another thing. So you're talking about looking for people to go outside the country. First, they can't even get passports. They can't even get passports.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Can I tie to this topic today?
Yes.
Watoke kwa ili walipe black tax vizuri. That is the plan.
And I think I don't know.
Entrenching black tax.
And thank you.
Yes.
Entrenching black tax.
Making it permanent.
Because of some of the things that they had, and I think it was in that draft that was Kirea.
The draft policy that
we were reviewing last week.
Yep.
But also here's the thing. We're not saying don't look for work, but sometimes, and I think something that people really need to start thinking about, and it was brought up by Kai in his latest The Kicker. There's a lot of corruption going on, but corruption, people are not talking about it. They're not, even if they talk about it in passing.
Yeah.
They've resigned themselves.
Okay, they're okay, tumekubali matokeo.